And Jund v Storm. Interestingly, Ryan, having played this on the Storm side, Jund is one of the matchups that I don't like as much when I'm playing Storm.
They're fighting you on multiple axes. They tend to have removal spells for your mana creatures, discard spells to get your rituals out. It can be pretty tough to slog through all of that.
Jadine to start with Inquisition of Kozilek. She sees 2 copies of Goblin Electromancer, 2 cantrips, Serum Visions and Sleight of Hand, and then a Manamorphose.
The pick here is clearly between one of the Electromancers or Manamorphose.
You don't care about the cantrips?
Nah, the deck just redraws and all kinds of stuff. There's redundant cantrips, and there's already stuff that you care about in the hand. The best ritual in the deck is Manamorphose. The mana creatures, the Brawls, the Electromancers, that's what the deck really needs to go off in the first place.
Yeah.
So you got to look at your hand. These cantrips likely trying to find more rituals, maybe a Gifts Ungiven to set up with more stuff. Can you keep the Electromancers under control? Can you stop yourself from dying while you get your clock set up?
So if you have like maybe one of these main deck Lightning Bolts or Fatal Pushes in your hand, you probably take one of the Goblins and then the other one's going to be dead?
Right, yeah, if you have one removal spell, you kind of want to go for those. If you have a couple, though, you can let them both linger.
Yeah, she'll take the Manamorphose and pass over to Paul. Paul's in a shock here for Serum Visions, probably fire off one of those cantrips. I believe he picked up a Ritual for the turn as he casts Serum Visions. See Baral, one of the 2 cards on top. I don't know how many of these 2 mana creatures he wants.
Certainly not 3. It's tough.
Yep.
You don't know how many or if any of the mana creatures are going to survive, but you do get to a point in the game where you just make land drops, and inevitably you cast a bunch of rituals, you Past in Flames.
And against Jund, when I play Storm, that's usually how it ends up going.
Right, especially once Jadine gets set up with a Tarmogoyf, you don't have time to keep seeing if a mana creature works.
Another Inquisition of Kozilek. So it looks like the cards he's picked up off the draw and cantrip were Past in Flames and Desperate Ritual.
Those were pretty nice ones.
Yeah.
A little less nice in the face of this discard spell.
Yeah, but Past in Flames does play well with these 2 Electromancers. It's going to put some pressure on Jadine to really remove the Electromancers.
Mm-hmm. And with the turn 2 starting with the discard spell, I assume we're going to see a land representing a Lightning Bolt or a Fatal Push. Or
yeah.
Paul's not even going to cast Electromancer on turn 2 into that if he doesn't have to.
Jadine takes one of the 2 Goblins, plays a basic Forest and says go. So no representing event removal spell or anything. Actually, if you're playing basic Forest as your second land, it kind of makes me think there's no more lands in Jadine's hand.
Yes, that would be my assumption.
I think you play almost any land over that.
Yeah, the basic Forest can be one of the less good lands in the deck. Let's see, did she register basic Mountain? This is something she went back and forth on. The reason that you want it is because of Field of Ruin. The reason you don't want it is because it's the worst card in your deck by a wide margin.
Yeah, Paul draws a land for the turn and then casts Sleight of Hand. Second tap land says go. Back over Jadine. Did she hit a land? We will see. My guess is she did not have another land going into the turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just anything that enters tapped would have been better on that turn. Okay, looks like she had
Catacombs, yeah. And I think she has Liliana of the Veil in hand, so this is going to be pretty nice.
It could be that she had the Catacombs and played the Forest to bluff as if she didn't have 2 black, so that Muller might have played into Liliana of the Veil.
Yeah, you mean if he had Remand or drawn something? Oh, you mean even just like to run out an Electromancer?
Yeah.
Okay.
You play the Forest and like, oh, I don't have anything. I have nothing that can disrupt you. You should probably play that Electromancer and then just hit him with the Liliana of the Veil.
So here is Liliana. +1, she's going to discard, so she'll be down to 2 cards. But against Storm, it's just about making them discard each turn. Jadine gets rid of an extra Liliana. Paul ditches that Past in Flames.
I am curious about that, though. That play is very much in Jadine's range.
Yeah. Pyretic Ritual to draw for Paul. And with Jadine tapped down, now he's got to look at some lines. Electromancer, Pyretic. It's possible he could combo off here with the... It's unlikely because that Manamorphose is gone, but he'll make an Electromancer. We'll see if there's anything else. Yeah, looks like he wants the Storm counters. Let's do it.
He's calling for it.
If he has, well, he has 2 rituals, right? Pyretic, Desperate, Flashback, Past in Flames, Pyretic, Desperate, Mana. I think he can do it.
Yeah, it looks like he has the mana. Does he have the payoff?
Well, I look at his graveyard. I think this works. So, yeah, Pyretic brings him up to 3 red. Desperate will bring him up to 5. Then he can Flashback, Past in Flames, go down to 1. Play both those rituals again, use the Manamorphose. I think he's clear.
He's got these redraws. Do we see something in his hand? Do we know? Is there a Gifts Ungiven available?
No, I guess you're right. He doesn't have that.
Yeah, that's what I meant by payoff.
Okay, yep, he has to find one with the blue cantrips.
Right.
And he's going to be choked on blue mana. So this is not guaranteed. You see up to Storm 3. Flashing back that Past in Flames as his next play. He's down to 1 mana, 4th spell. Now he can redo.
Yeah, the big reason to pick this window is because Jadine's tapped out for
Yeah,
Liliana, and the
it's not getting better.
Liliana makes his hand worse every turn.
Yeah, you do it now because it's like, yeah, things are never getting better after this point.
Right, literally now or never.
So spell 5 brings him up to 3 red. Spends a red to cast Manamorphose, down to 2 red. 2 blue draws a card, and this is where there's going to be some tension.
Okay. Last card in hand is a Grape Shot.
Okay. Here's Serum Visions, 6. Make that the 7th spell, draws 1.
It's a ritual.
This looks good. I mean, he's got to get up to 14.
He's got to get to 14 or set up with one of his remands or this Unsubstantiate.
Yeah.
If he can get up to enough mana, he can Grape Shot, flashback, Past in Flames, flashback, Grape Shot. That's a lot of mana, though.
Well, the Past in Flames is gone.
Oh, right, he already had a flashback at the start. It wasn't the front side.
Yeah, but he found it. Here's another Past in Flames if he can think that's useful, and he'll take it off Sleight of Hand. That next Past in Flames should actually do it, because he has another ritual in hand. If he goes up to 5 mana, he can go Grape Shot, Past in Flames, Grape Shot.
Yep, Storm's already high enough for 2 Grape Shots to be lethal.
So 9, up to 4 red. Yep, Desperate Ritual, up to 6 red, and now this Grape Shot and Past in Flames should do it.
And I love the play here by Muller. This was not a guaranteed combo, but it was a great window. He saw it, and he's getting rewarded.
Yep, Grape Shot for 10, Past in Flames, Grape Shot. Again, Paul's got it. Game 1 over to Storm. And it's a tough spot from Jadine's side. You saw discard spell into Liliana not being enough here. It's, you know, and that's a really tough thing on the matchup on Jadine's side. You know, she may go back and think, okay, were those 2 Inquisition of Kozilek's played correctly? You had discard each turn and got turned through and still got killed through it. It's going to make you wonder about the choices.
Right. She has some upgrades post sideboard, but so does Paul. So both decks getting better.
That's one way to play around Bloodbraid, is if you don't let them if you win before they play a 4th land, who cares?
Right. Too easy.
All right, we're going to look at the sideboards in just a minute, but before that, we're going to have a word from our sponsors. All right, back here, Paul Muller storming his way to that turn 3 win, game 1. That's one way to get around Bloodbraid Elf. So let's look at the sideboard for Jadine's side. She has 3 Fulminator Mage, 2 Nile Spellbomb, 2 Collective Brutality, a Graph Digger's Cage, an Engineering Explosives, a Scavenging Ooze, a Kitchen Finks, another Liliana of the Last Hope, an extra Kolaghan's Command, Golgari Charm, and Liliana's Defeat. Now, with Bloodbraid Elf in the deck, this deck is just so good after sideboarding.
Yeah, you should have a good hit. And you see that game, Paul won a lot off of being able to Past in Flames back. That was essential there.
Yeah.
So you're going to see some graveyard hate coming in. The 2 Nile Spellbomb and the Graph Digger's Cage, they all play pretty reasonably here. And then beyond that, there's no additional discard spells, but there's additional ways to cover things that might happen. For example, the Golgari Charm can cover Empty the Warrens. It's good to have access to that and or the Engineered Explosives post-sideboard.
Scavenging Ooze?
Scavenging Ooze is pretty good at covering the graveyard as well.
Yeah.
There's a good argument for Collective Brutality. It's tough because it's sorcery speed. It kills Electromancer, not Baral.
Yeah.
I generally don't love it in the matchup.
Well, especially because the stock builds of Storm are 4 Baral, 2 Electromancer right now. And that's exactly what Paul's doing.
Yep.
Jadine is probably savvy enough at Modern to know that that was strange that Paul had 2 Electromancers. So once Brutality only hits the Goblin, like, you're slicing things pretty thin, right?
It is an extra duress against these pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, and those are just gonna come in.
Right.
Now, how about this out of Poly? So 4 pieces of the puzzle, those generally come in against discard. Okay, I want to focus here on Empty the Warrens and Pyromancer Ascension as a 2-up.
This card has just not been played in a Storm for a long time.
Yeah.
And this is something that would put more pressure on Jadine to draw graveyard hate.
I like it here.
This card snowballs very quickly. It is nice. And once you get hit by discard, if you just have redundant copies of the spell, it's really easy to combo with an active Ascension.
So yeah, if he's put this in his deck, I assume it's coming in this matchup. This is like the kind of matchup you do it for.
Yeah, this is not a card to speed up your clock. This is a card to grind better. I assume it's better against blue decks than against Jund specifically, but it's still pretty powerful.
Yeah, it'll play. Yeah, the blue decks would be better because Jund actually has some closing speed. Both players have kept 7, though. We're going to start with another Inquisition of Kozilek from Jadine, and yeah, we see the Ascension. From Paul's side, he's kept a 1-lander. 1 land, Sleight of Hand, and then he has a Lightning Bolt, Desperate Ritual, Remand, Pyromancer, Ascension. Ryan, okay, it's the trap play, but how do you feel about taking that Sleight of Hand?
I was going to say, that's the greedy play. I would look at this Pyromancer Ascension and do a quick check for what I can do about that. Graph Digger's Cage does not cover Pyromancer Ascension in any meaningful way, and Nihil Spellbomb only sometimes cover it. You also have to close fast.
I'm surprised here. Jadine took Remand. That's surprising, which makes me think that the follow-up play will explain it. Paul draws Grape Shot, cast that Sleight of Hand, and both top cards were lands, so he will have land 2. Taking
Remand suggests to me that Jadine has a nice proactive hand that really covers the Storm game plan very quickly.
Land go. Okay.
Maybe she's starting on 3 and can't beat a Remand.
She's got Golgari Charm.
Golgari,
land,
yeah, that would cover the
Ascension. That's cast.
Paul's like, there's no way this is good.
If you let me keep this, there's the Golgari Charm out of the board. It's like, if you didn't Inquisition this, then I'm pretty sure it's dead. Not sure, like, if you're playing that many Abrupt Decay, or if they're still in, or whatever you're doing, but somehow this isn't sticking around.
I don't have any other plays. Just tell me why this is going to my graveyard.
Yeah, and unlike Electromancer in these matchups, Paul will probably just run out Ascension when he has it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a card that you can't just cast and combo off on the same turn usually, whereas Electromancer gives you some power to combo the same turn you cast it. Ascension takes some setup.
Go back over to Jadine, draws for turn. Land 3, is it Lily? Yes, it is. Both games, she's doing Jund things, discard into removal into Lily, like, let's go.
Yeah, and if you go back to Jadine taking that Remand, Paul can't leave up Remand because he doesn't have it in his hand. He's kind of priced into casting the Ascension. Jadine gets to cover that with the Charm. Really good planning ahead there.
Hoping she doesn't just lose next turn, if he's just like, oh yeah, by the way, Electromancer, those 2 rituals you saw, Metamorphose, Past in Flames, get you.
Could you brick at least once, please?
He discards one of the rituals as Jadine gets rid of a land.
Still a good volume of cards in hand for Muller. One of them is that Lightning Bolt.
I would be worried. In Jadine's spot, I'm not comfortable at the moment.
You're right.
Paul has Grape Shot, Lightning Bolt. Yeah, I was going to say he could deal. Yeah, so it's going to be 4 to the Lily and 1 to Jadine. She'll go to 14.
I could discard these over the course of the next 2 turns, or I can just take your Planeswalker off the battlefield.
Yeah, Paul's down to 2 cards now, so he's going to look to something like Past in Flames. This is a window where those Nile Spellbombs would be very nice for Jadine.
Yes.
And she plays Dark Confidant. And this is nice because both the Grape Shot and Lightning Bolt were just used.
Right.
Paul will cast Baral. Danger, danger. Desperate Ritual.
Uh-oh.
Lightning Bolt on Baral. Nice. Paul gets 3 mana, but can't use it. Jadine, Dark Comment shows Lily. I like that. There's exactly 1 card in Paul's hand.
Yeah, we'll change that.
Yeah, here's Liliana. Discards a land, says go.
Yeah, and Paul's last card was Empty the Warrens. If he was able to maintain that Baral, he would have made some goblins.
You're right. Okay. That was a big Lightning Bolt for Jadine.
Yes.
And he finds a 4th land and says go. Jadine's Dark Confidant draws her a Stomping Ground, swings for 2.
And once again, that was Paul picking a good spot. He was not going to get another shot at that Empty the Warrens, but did not work out this time.
Lily keeps going up. Another land for Paul. And lands are actually great draws for Paul as Jadine gets the Treetop Village.
Yeah, gets to get him out of his hand to accelerate his mana without hanging out.
Paul to 13. Jadine continue to plus the Liliana and discard extra cards, but now Liliana's in ultimate range. Here's Sleight of Hand from Paul. Wants to find something off the top. Land and something else. Is the something else good? We'll see.
Might have been Manamorphose. Didn't get a great look at it.
You have to decide whether or not he wants Manamorphose or just a 6th land. 6th land means that Past in Flames actually becomes live, which is pretty nice.
6th land makes Liliana a triple Stone Rain instead of a double Stone Rain.
Okay, so it's actually just it's just the 6th land doesn't do anything.
If you just take a card and don't cast it, the Liliana is going to make you discard it.
So he picks the land and puts it into play. Nile Spellbomb, huge draw for Jadine.
Yeah, you gotta imagine that the play of this turn is split your lands into 2 piles of 3, Spellbomb you, the game should be over.
Activate tree. You can activate Treetop Village while you're at it, actually.
Right.
And now plussing Liliana gets rid of Thoughtseize.
I guess with the Spellbomb, there's just no way she gets comboed anyway.
Hits for 8. And I mid, Spellbomb, leave up a black. It's pretty nice. Go. And Paul picks up the cards. Jadine juns him out. Game number 2. Liliana gets rid of all the cards. Nile Spellbomb gets rid of the graveyard. That's what Jund wants to be doing here.
Yep.
Strong plays. Yes, a bit of cringe on Paul's face. He knows that's how this is going to play out when Jund is winning.
No pieces of the puzzle in that game 2. It's going to hope to get a little more gasoline in game 3.
All right, well, Paul's going to go ahead and go back to the board. We're going to get you game 3 when we come back in just a minute.
Go. Go.
All right, so game number 3 here between Paul Muller and Jadine Klomparens. Paul was our runner-up last weekend in the Modern Classic. You mentioned before, we've seen him win a Modern Open here with Storm. So that Pyromancer Ascension has come in out of the board. Looks like we also saw Empty the Warrens out of the sideboard. When you see something like Golgari Charm out of Jadine, does it make you want to go back off Empty the Warrens, or you're still in?
The other contents of the deck push you so far towards Empty that you can't just be off it. You just accept that you're going to take a beating sometime when you go for it. As we saw in both of the games, game 1 it worked out, game 2 it didn't. Paul just found a window where he could try to combo, and you hope that it's good enough.
Also, some of those lightning bolts came in out of the board.
Yeah, he wants to cover Dark Confidant, I think is kind of the big one. It's really easy for Jadine to just crush you with card advantage and continue to cover all of your stuff.
Yeah, I know that from the ramp side. When your John opponent gets to free roll their Dark Confidant, that's scary. Looks like Jadine is on a mulligan this game, and she scries to the bottom. Paul having kept on 7.
Also with the pieces of the puzzle Grape Shot Storm turns, Lightning Bolt's one of your better cards to generate Storm.
Island go for Paul. And we're off.
Perhaps
Ryan, I want to see one of these Bloodbraid Elves, okay? Turn on Thoughtseize from Jadine. My whole card is the Bloodbraid Elf card, and I know Jadine's playing 4. So lands 2 and 3. Paul's hand, this is a scary one. Lands 2/3, Baral, Past in Flames, 2 Manamorphose.
This is a powerful hand, and also it could be anything. Rituals that are redraws and the Past in Flames, this is scary.
If she doesn't have a removal spell, Jadine just has to take Baral here, right?
Even if you have a removal spell, because
still take Baral.
Muller has lands lined up, it's tough to disrupt that.
Yeah. And yeah, Baral's gone. 2 Manamorphose, Past in Flames. Another land drawn by Paul. That's actually good for Jadine. At this point, just like load him up on them and then hope you have a Nile Spellbomb.
Yes. Yeah, well, once Paul pretty much has to go for the Past in Flames, the combo, the Graveyard Hate becomes very powerful.
Let's see where Jadine goes now. Nile Spellbomb is really an important card in this matchup.
Yes. Yeah, you can discard spell them, and that's good. But then they don't take very many resources to combo off, and Jun's closing speed, it's not really a turn 4 deck. It's almost never going to kill you
like
that
6.
quickly. Yeah, well, the more time you give the Storm player, the more their land drops actually matter, the more they can just beat you with Ritual Past in Flames.
Looks like Jadine's going to go for a 2 mana play here, which it's a scary window because if Paul has picked up another mana creature, either on this last turn or on the following one, he's probably just going to win.
There's a really high likelihood of it.
Yeah, Tarmogoyf go. Jadine's shields are down. A Baral or an Electromancer in Paul's hand is going to just be great.
Yeah, it's unclear exactly where Paul ends at the end of the turn, but he has a lot of tools to start going off.
Yeah.
If he presents any other ritual to go with those Manamorphoses.
Yeah, this is a really scary turn for Jadine.
But without another discard spell, she doesn't have options.
Yeah, even if she leaves up mana, he's going to do it anyway. So might as well play the Tarmogoyf. Back over to Paul. Now we see, what'd you get?
Rolling up the sleeves.
All right. He's going to start with 1 Manamorphose. This, to me, feels like he's fishing for that Electromancer. This is good news for Jadine that he's starting this way.
Yeah, the fact that this is just mana neutral is pretty nice.
1 and 1. He'll draw. And Opt looks like what he picked up off it. So he's got Pyromancer Ascension. Maybe he'll just make that.
Wouldn't be surprised.
No, it's not bad to get 1 Manamorphose in the yard as well.
Yeah, once you've cast 1 Manamorphose, you don't have an enabler, so they're not plus mana, and you want to have the Manamorphose for the Ascension. It doesn't make sense to just Manamorphose again.
So rather than Ascension, he's going to get pieces of the puzzle. So two more Manamorphoses, and then Serum Visions are his option. And with this Ascension in his hand, I'd just take all the Manamorphose.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of unfortunate that he can't take the Baral, but 2 Manamorphose, sign me up for that.
And we saw that there was a Golgari Charm that ate the Ascension in Game 2. Jadine was pretty lucky to have that. As far as her deck list is concerned, she doesn't have too many ways to answer Pyromancer Ascension.
There are 2 Abrupt Decays in the main. Unclear how much of that stays in post-sideboard. Once you see the Ascension, there's a stronger argument for them.
4/5 Tarmogoyf will hit in. Paul to 16. My card's got a 5/6 Tarmogoyf on it, so we got to get a Planeswalker in there or something. And Paul, 4th land, Pyromancer Ascension, and he can hold priority here, actually, and just start going for these Manamorphoses. Jadine knows there's 2 Manamorphoses in Paul's hand. She should be concerned.
Yeah, well, Paul can get 1 counter on the Ascension. He doesn't have the mana to just cast a bunch.
Yeah, now Jadine has priority. See if it.
With that resolving, this is looking pretty nice for Paul.
Another Manamorphose. Ascension is online, so now all his spells will be doubled.
And the literal best spell in these decks to copy with Ascension is this last Manamorphose.
I like that he puts the third counter on the Ascension. Let's do it. So the first one resolves. He gets red-blue. Now the second one doesn't add to Storm, but he does get one.
You draw an extra card, actually go up mana on it.
Yeah, he gets to decide what mana he wants off the copy of Manamorphose. Looks like he'll take a second of each. So 4 mana floating, Storm at 4. Paul might just win this turn.
He's got a lot of cards in hand.
Yeah. It's double Serum Visions for Paul.
Serum Visions twice sees you so many cards.
Yeah. Stop.
Ascension to 4, that's going to be important. I want to know if when he gets to counter 7, do we get a second die?
Yeah, and you see he put a Ritual on top. He's going to win this turn. Almost. It'd be very hard for him not to.
Yes. He is out of Manamorphose.
Yeah, that's fine.
He won't be able to make more blue mana, but as long as he finds a Past in Flames, he'll be in.
Well,
it's pretty much locked
there was
up.
one in the opener.
Okay.
Remember?
Yeah, this game should be locked up then.
Yeah, you see, spends his 2 red, gets 6. Yeah, this is cool. Jadine is in trouble. Okay, and actually 2 Past in Flames. Here's a cool thing. So the Past in Flames copies. So you actually can hold the copy on the stack, and sometimes that matters. Like if you so if you can hold the copy on the stack, cash out these Manamorphoses, and if you draw into rituals, you can cast the rituals and then allow the copy of the regular Past in Flames to resolve, and those rituals that you cast will get flashback.
Sure.
I don't think this is a tight enough combo that he needs to do fancy things like that. I think he's just got it by miles.
Right.
But I want to point out that that's a sweet play, and I'm into it. Okay.
Yeah, I would put that pretty similar to putting the 3rd and 4th counter on the Pyromancer Ascension when it comes to this game.
There are games with the Pyromancer Ascension, because people haven't played Ascension Storm in a long time, where that really matters. You see now he's just doubling these Manamorphoses out of the graveyard, and his Storm's getting up to 10. So with the Ascension builds, when you combo out with, unlike these other ones where you see them kind of like finding Grape Shot, once you get Ascension going, Paul probably has the ability right here to draw his entire deck.
Yes.
It is a full combo now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I played a variant of this deck when it was standard legal.
Yeah.
And
I did, yeah, same.
Yeah, combining Ascension with Ponder was always really nice.
So now he's going to bolt twice. That's 6 damage. Yeah, he literally is going to can draw his whole deck. He could probably win with just these lightning bolts.
Yes.
Here's another lightning bolt for 6 more. You can flash back that Past in Flames. More lightning bolts, Grape Shots. This is a lot of damage. Paul Muller's going to do it. It's an old school combo. That's Pyromancer Ascension getting it done. 2-1. He is your winner over